Hello, beautiful people. It's Quinton from the Hunters of Light, and we are about to go into the second creative showcase for hashtag Women's Month, Ingrid Irsigler, and it is like a kaleidoscope of madness. I don't know how else to describe it. Gregarious, loud, over the top, colorful, crazy, times 10. You're gonna enjoy this. Trust me. For those of you who are watching this for the first time, thanks very much for checking it out. I know you'll enjoy it. For those of you who have subscribed, fantastic. Thank you. As always, you guys rock. If you haven't subscribed, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That's the way that the channel grows, and we can bring you more of this content that educates, motivates, and inspires. So, yeah. What I said last time about 10 images, trying to make it more punchy and bite size, I don't think it's going to work. I really don't think it's going to work because photographers like to talk. But it's cool though, because they show awesome images as well. All right, cue the intro. Cue the intro. Cue the intro. All right, everyone. So we've had a bit of a time getting things together. Technology is our friend, apparently. I'm not sure that I believe it, and I don't think Ingrid believes it either. But Ingrid is, as I said, a creative, high-end fashion portrait beauty photographer, creative director and a director, who in her bio says, inspired by great adventure, art, literature, poetry, that weaves stories into her work. When you see her work, you'll also know why she's called, the Queen of Color, because there's color everywhere. She was saying earlier on that apparently there's a rule you can only use 3 colors in photography, and she's spent her life railing against that. So, but we'll get into that. You'll see there's color everywhere, and if you don't like color, maybe you should just stop now because it's going to hurt. All right. So, firstly, welcome. Thanks very much for being a part of this discussion. I love your images. When I saw your images, I thought, no, I've got to get it on. It's really cool stuff. It's an absolute pleasure. So the first thing that I want to find out is you are also known as the photographer with the name that no one can pronounce. Let's just go into that.
Yes, so I have a terrible surname. My surname is Irsigler, and what happens is it's kind of like Ingrid Irsigler, and then my second name is Alice. So that's how I ended up using Ingrid Alice, because it was so much easier for people to go like Ingrid Alice than Ingrid Irsigler. But now what has happened is people sort of say to me, oh, you're Ingrid with the surname that nobody can pronounce. And then I have to go through the whole rigmarole as to what my surname is and how to pronounce it. And due to various, I've never managed to get rid of it, so I still have it. So I'm still Ingrid Irsigler. Alas.
I think it's a great story. Too much to fit on a business card, but I think it's a great story.
The only good thing is my father had a sense of humor, and he named me after a movie star and Alice in Wonderland. So I think then he definitely was named after Ingrid Bergman and Alice in Wonderland. So I think that he definitely did well there. It was just the surname situation that was it's just complicated. He was Austrian. So, well.
I'm going to say that now that you've said that, I understand the work that you produce. Because there's definitely an Alice in Wonderland, inspiration or theme that runs through a lot of it, which is fantastic.
Yeah, my dad had one of those little Polaroid cameras, and when I was a kid, I used to steal it like the whole time. It was my absolute favorite thing in the whole world was this little Polaroid camera of his. Yeah. And I used to like be constantly like, because he'd hide the film from me. So I'd like go and scratch around in it. It was probably like, in hindsight, it was probably a bit of a game that he probably used to do. But like, anyway, I'd go and like find the film and put it in. And I loved the way it like opened and closed. And and just the sound and everything. And I just used to think it was the most magical thing in the entire world, that you take this photo and you have this thing at the end of the day, and it's just this, it like appears before your eyes. So yeah, but I've actually become, I merged to photography quite late in my career. It was something that was never really on my radar, on my chart. I was a creative director for most of my 20s and my 30s, giving away my age now. But
easy now, slow down.
And then I was on a shoot one day, or on a set. I'd never really, been involved in a shoot or whatever before. And I had a client. Well, I still have a client, an aviation client, and we were doing this beautiful magazine for him, and he wanted the shoot, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So we got sort of production companies and all these things involved, and it was just, I just watched this whole setup, and I was like, wow, this is so crazy. Like, you have this amazing job, and this guy spends his whole day on ladders, and I love ladders, and I used to go to Design and Derby a lot. Like Design and Derby used to be my thing. Every year I'd go. And there was this amazing speaker, like I think he was at one of the first Design and Derbys, Koto Bolofo, who's still one of my most favorite photographers. And like, it was such a bizarre sort of moment in my life, because it was kind of like sort of things sort of all falling into place. And it was like, I always remembered him, and I remembered his stories, and I grew up with, the Polaroid cameras, and, these crazy Cochrane kind of big images on my walls, and, pictures of Vogue cut out, all over my walls and stuff. So it was sort of just it was kind of like a weird sort of aligning of, I don't know, like skills or things that I've always loved in my life that sort of all came tumbling together. So as I say, it was a little bit more late in my career, but originally I was going to do food and interiors, and I must tell you, I'm not a very good food photographer, and I'm a terrible interior photographer. It just goes to show. It's like I really, like, in my head, like I do beautiful food, but I don't have the mind for that. That's a skill all into itself, and OCD,
absolutely.
which I'm a little bit like, I'm rebel outlaw logic. I'm like, that's not me at all. Like, I can't process things like that. I want explosion over there, and so fire over there, and kind of a Jeep falling off the roof over there, and I'm kind of very big production kind of person. Even though we have a small team, you will pretty much very rarely ever see me just like myself and one person, like out or whatever. It'll always be myself and a makeup artist and a stylist. And recently I've gone into my new phase, which is kind of like shooting lots of people, which is kind of a bit of a strange thing, but I use people almost to design a scene, and I love casting, and I love that kind of intricacy of that. So recently I've been like huge sets. I think I had one recently where it was something ridiculous, like 35 people like crammed into this little space. I was like, what are you doing, Ings? I sort of said to the stylist, I was like, my friend Brian, I was like, so we kept on adding more models. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, okay, so there's actually quite a lot here. And then I was kind of thinking to myself, like, Ings, what are you doing? It's like, it's mad. And then you think to yourself, like, now you've got to get like 30 people, like, because, obviously, I'm not nearly organized enough to do things like stitch them and whatever. I'm not that person either. Yeah. I'm like, we shoot for finals. I'm not one shot. Yeah, I'm not going to sit and stitch and whatever. That's not me. So needless to say, so now I've got like as many people as I can possibly, persuade many of my clients to have, because I think it's really interesting to have all the different characters in terms of just telling stories and stuff. And I love that. So it's like the guy in the corner who's, smoking the cigar, and the guy with the tattoos, and the guy sitting there, playing backgammon. This beautiful model and these guys.
The thing is, it's just, it's all multiple layers, I think that's the thing when you look at the work, there is just so much to see because of those sorts of layers. For me, it sounds like I'm less of a photographer and more of a ringmaster especially if you've got explosions and dancing girls and man with cigar in the corner.
I know, exactly. And then it's like, and then sometimes I do think to myself, this is completely insane. And then of course it's like, let's bring in sort of, all the animals, and that, I mean, animals are difficult to shoot. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That is such a, that's, if you really want to give yourself a headache, bring in 5 parrots. So that's a good idea. And, a horse, and then, put the horse inside a cafe with like all food and, foliage everywhere that it can eat. It's like, let's do that. It's like, who does that? It's like such a weird, dumb thing to do. And then halfway through, you're like, this is a dumb thing to do. What are you doing? It's like, from now on, no. It's only studio work for you. White background. And then it's like, oh my gosh. And then it's like, then we start again. And then it's, So, but I love that. I love the storytelling. I love for me, I was saying to you, like, I'm a bit of a maximalist. I like when we finish a project, it's such a difficult thing, because it's like from one set of images, you're going to have like 80 images or something. It's like so ridiculous. And that's final. I think for the one AFI project, we literally delivered like 100 images in a week. It was so ridiculous. And that was from literally like, I think it was an extended day shoot. So it was like, we started at, I don't know, like 3 a.m. and then probably finished at like 11 or something. We shot 3 different editorials within that day and whatever. But yeah, so yeah, I keep on thinking, like, trying to like work on my paid down sort of thing, but I don't know, stick with what you love, and I suppose do what you do, and try not to, just try not to get too sidetracked, I think, because I think the biggest problem is obviously Instagram and Beyonce. All these things they're such great tools, but you can go on there and you can drive yourself so mad, because there's so much talent and you're up against such incredible work. And if you think about it, it's not like you just up, my village of Chelsea or Constantia or Cape Town or whatever. It's like we're up against like everywhere. It's like whenever something does well on Beyonce is my sort of biggest sounding board for where I am in my work, because it's independently moderated. It's a panel of my peers. It's a very different kind of environment to, like, for example, an Instagram, which is it's a much more difficult audience to judge, because obviously depending on, there's so many different variables that goes into an Instagram. So many. And my work, generally speaking, I get a lot of my work from Instagram. I do, absolutely. But I also run my Instagram very differently. If you've seen it, I don't look at the likes. I don't look at anything. I use it as a flashcard for my portfolio. And because my work can be quite strong and quite full, if you take different projects and you put them next to each other, it doesn't really look great. It needs a story. So that's why I sort of run mine the way that I do. And I find that's made a big difference for me in terms of my marketing. Definitely. And then obviously, LinkedIn seems to be a vibe nowadays. And I Facebook, for my line of work, really, I focus very much on the commercial stuff. I focus very much on, as we were chatting about advertising, etc. So I generally don't get any clients from Facebook, but it's fun. It's a necessary evil, and it can be quite fun to go and make connections. I think that's more of a connection kind of place where you, for sure, you're connecting with people and chatting and keeping your connections going and stuff. So I think it's good to have all of these different areas. But for me, Beyonce is still very much on an international platform. You need a Beyonce account, because that's how I basically worked. As I did Beyonce, then I got some really good press overseas, and then from there I kind of started to trickle from there. I sort of went kind of backwards, because my work wasn't very well received in the beginning in South Africa, because obviously we do a lot of like natural light stuff and a lot of sort of skateboarding stuff, and my work is really not like that. So in fact, when I moved to Cape Town, they said I would never get work. So I'm really pleased that I proved them wrong. I was like, oh God. I was like, what am I going to do? This is so terrible.
Everyone wants to move to Cape Town, but there's so many photographers there that have wanted to move to Cape Town. So I suppose it is a little difficult to stand out from the crowd. But I mean, your stuff definitely stands out, no matter where you see it.
I think that's the thing. And I think that for me to go, and that's what I kept on saying to people, for me to go and try and do, for example, very beautiful kind of portraiture, natural light kind of stuff. There's people that do that much better than me, much, much, much better than me. All I'm going to do is I'm going to go and try and emulate someone else. And it's going to be very hard for me because I don't see the world like that. But for them to come along and try and do what I do is very difficult because, it's like no one is you. That's your superpower. So, and I think that's, you've got to try and somehow or another stay true to yourself and to your kind of style of work. And I remember in the beginning, I was like, what is the style of work and what? I don't believe in this. I'm going to shoot whatever it is that I want to shoot. And I'm so I'm so stubborn. I promise you. I'm like, oh man. And it's almost for me now looking at my Instagram a couple of years later and stuff. And I can see very much that my work, even though each project is so different, it's definitely got a narrative to it. It's definitely got a visual identity to it, where if someone's going to come to me for various, certain, I know exactly who my clients are. Exactly. I can tell you my dream clients, my top 5 clients, the clients that I have here, the clients that I get through advertising. It's I know my work. And I think that that's very important when it comes to, being a commercial photographer, because ultimately, well, I want to make money. I mean, I have to make money. I have dogs that need feeding. And other than buying an ostrich farm, because apparently ostrich bones are like the vibe. It's and you want to go overseas and you want to, I don't know, whatever it is you want. I mean, the camera gear, So we want to, I've never ever bought into that kind of struggling artist kind of creative vibe. I refuse to. I've always been commercially quite strong with my work just throughout my whole creative career. And I believe that we bring a very good service to companies and to the world as such. I mean, whether it's your portraiture and you're just making someone feel amazing, or, it's the brand, which is obviously the work we do, which is getting them out there, giving them a voice, giving them a narrative, giving them a story, and obviously having that emotional connection with which, the work kind of all merges together. I mean, we've just had a new project now, which is film. There's a few stills, but majority of it was film. And I think we launched the one on last week Friday. It's had something ridiculous, 60,000 views already.
Sure.
That's a quantifiable thing that you can go to client with and say or you don't have to say anything because everybody, everyone's phoning the clients and they're speaking to them and they're super excited. And, the clients are like, well, what are we doing next? And where are we going next? And I want to go and shoot a giraffe lodge in Kenya. So I said to my cinematographer, this amazing guy called Ross, my DOP, I said to him, going into it, I'm like, I'm going to the giraffe lodge. We've got to do a really good job here. I want to go to the giraffe lodge and shoot there.
I love it.
So fortunately, it's gone quite well. I must be honest with you. When I hit the upload button the other day, I was like, please God, I need to go to the giraffe lodge before I die. The only way I'm going to get probably is if I work. So be kind. Yeah, so we were very lucky. But yeah, so I think that's really the whole sort of vibe of where we are and what we do. And I think that it is really important to kind of get an idea of who you are. And I always say this over and over again. It's who are your top 3 clients, and if your style, if you're not getting work and for whatever reason, and it's not working, you either don't know your top 3 clients, or your top 3 clients, the work that you're doing is not right for their needs. You have to align there. You have to bring that back into alignment. So it's if you want to work for whatever, Dolce, Longines, whatever, if you are show jumping, if those are your top 3 clients, it's kind of and you out there shooting bikinis on the beach, it's not going to work, obviously.
For sure.
So you've got to bring all those elements into alignment. So that's kind of how I look at my work. And I try not get too stressed about what everybody else does. Obviously it's difficult sometimes, especially, as I say, like, we all put our work on Instagram, and it's, you're up against Harper's photographers and Vogue photographers, and you're like, it's like, how on earth do you like put your work next to Lexi? It's like, oh God. So it's just something which I keep my nose to the ground, and I focus on what I'm doing, and try and keep an eye to a certain degree of what's going on. But I don't let that stop me in any way. I'm literally, as I say, like, I'm very kind of a strong-willed. I've been called strong-willed a lot recently. I don't know. They're like strong, independent woman. I'm like, I don't know, but like I am. You say so. So like, I think with all of that, it really is. It's just about knowing yourself, knowing your style, and knowing who your clients are, and wanting to kind of, do something that's amazing. And I think that for me, like, the one thing which I am absolutely OCD about, and to the detriment of the rest of my life, to be honest, is the fact that I am very, 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 like, I'm a workaholic, and it's like the details. It's like the devil is in the details. I mean, our work is just, every single time you'll just see, it's like there's a detail here and a detail there, and it's really, for me, that's really, really important. And then obviously, to obviously collaborate with teams that are kind of your tribe. I think that's really important as well. You've got to find your people in order to do your work. I can't do what I want to do on my own. For me, my stuff is, big production stuff. It's big production stuff with a very small team. So there's a difference. There's a difference in that. It's like, it's not like we're doing big production stuff like an advertising job where you might have like 80 crew. Our crew will probably be 10, but we're so in tune with each other in terms of what it is we're doing. And my stylist and I, we are so on top of what it is that we're doing. Extremely lucky to have the most incredible producer known to mankind, Philippa, my amazing producer. She's so good, from Purple Raindrop. She literally takes the job of like a second AD, a producer, an assistant producer, she's basically like 5 people in one. It's crazy. And the thing is, like, but it works better for us because then you've got a set that's like all working in cohesiveness. It's not a set that's kind of fragmented and you've got this person and that person and that person. It's for a long time I didn't even have assistants. It's only since I've moved to Cape Town that I have an assistant. I didn't even know what a digital capturer was. I don't know. They've got these people that sit down. What's this person? What does this person do? Anyways, like, okay. And they were like, no, but you have to have a capture person. And I'm like, and to be honest with you, it's probably still one of my most stressful things in the entire world is actually relinquishing control of a digital capture to my computer and to whatever it is I'm doing. Like, that's, I would say, probably one of my biggest struggles, other than finding selects. That's my other really big struggle. I'm terrible at that. So when it comes down to the work that we do, it's exactly that. It's small team. It's concept work. The work that I love to do, I run the creators 100%. And that's really important for me. Like, it's very, very important for me because I think that you've got such a clear vision. You've got one vision. It's one vision is better than a dilution here and a dilution there. And when I got into photography, it was one of my frustrations was at the time on the project I was working on, I was basically the creative director and I was working with the photographer, and it was like, I felt like there was such a disconnect between us, and I was like, this is what I want and this is what I'm trying to get and whatever. And like, you could just see, like, they were just like, it was a difficult thing. So at least now it's like, okay, well, this is what we're doing. This is what we're going for. And, this is what we're going to smash. And generally speaking, it's quick takes, very quick takes. in fact, even on our film sets, like I don't buy into the let's do something 500 times. It's terrible. It's not something I find. If you haven't got it in the first 3 takes, then you might as well just change the scene or do something else, because that's just me. I mean, I have a different opinion. I've had many debates with various film people about this, and that's just my opinion. My opinion is you get the first 3 takes your best, and then if it's not working, then you need to change it, and you need to do something different. Do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Well, I think it just drives everybody completely insane. Like, I'm just like, I don't have the time for this or the willpower. So yeah, and if it's planned out properly and you know what you're doing, it's an easy thing. You know what you're doing. You go in there, you get the take. You put it in the bag, you cut the scene, and walk out. And,
Exactly.
have a cookie and off you go.
Absolutely. So I think let's get on to checking out some of your images. I know that I prefaced it early on with it's going to be an explosion of color and detail, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I know that that's what everyone is keen to see. So I think let's share your screen and show off some of those images.
Okay, amazing. So basically, the images, in terms of how I've decided to show them to you, present them to you today, is just a little bit of a progression of where I started and where I ended up and where I've come from. So this is one of the first images that I ever took that I really loved. And it really defined my style, because at the time I was doing various different things. And this is in what was Mosaic. Mosaic's gone now, and Geneva. And like, I remember walking into the cinema and I just had a very clear vision of what I wanted to shoot. And I think that's really important, because I generally have a very clear vision of exactly what I'm shooting. I never really go in there and I'm never really like, oh, okay, maybe we'll do this, and maybe we'll try that. I always have like a clear picture in my head of what it is I'm trying to create. And I kind of went off on various different tangents after this, but I kept on coming back to this one image, and I was like, this is what I want to shoot. I know that perhaps maybe it's, not the most commercial work in the entire world, but this is what I want to do. So I'm just going to do what I want to do. So that was my plan. And that was just like a little BTS of Jenna. I was like super, super happy. I was so excited. I was like, this is so fun. This is the best job in the world. I still believe that. I still believe it's the best job in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I didn't shoot for so long after that. I was doing some other things. And then this project came up, and I contacted a stylist, which I'd seen, Karen Ortel. I'd been following her on Facebook. When I started out as a photographer, I wasn't obviously known at all. And the biggest problem I had was building a team, because obviously teams are very locked down. And it's a very difficult place to come from, kind of saying to someone like, oh, I want to shoot, et cetera, and they're like, you don't know what you're doing, and blah, 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 blah. So I'd been stalking Karen for about, I think, like 6 months, I don't know, on Instagram and on Facebook. And I was always like commenting, and I was always like, hey, love your work. And eventually I was like, I'm going to phone her. I've got this project. So I had this project, gave her a call, arranged a meeting. I was so nervous. It was like ridiculous how nervous I was. And we ended up working together. She agreed to take the job, which I was super happy about. And we ended up we was super low budget, a friend of mine's farm in Kloof. And we went up there, and basically I didn't know Karen. And that was also when I started my collaborating with Sam Scarborough. I didn't know, they never worked with him before in my life before. It was like the second shoot that I'd sort of ever shot in my life before. I was kind of like, I remember the whole first night I was like, oh my gosh, this is so ridiculous, I can't do this. But anyway, it worked. It turned out really, really well. So we did these amazing shoots, and one of them was turned into what was Midsummer Night's Dream, which is what you're seeing on your screen. And that won a Fashion and Beauty Award in New York. And that like just sort of solidified and sort of sent me on down the path as a photographer. I'd never really thought about it. It was just something that sort of happened, and I was like, I just love doing this. This is just, I'm made for this. This is my world. And
I love this image with the. Initially, I thought that you had backlit that shot until I saw the behind the scenes, and it was actually the sunlight that was lighting that. That's incredible.
Yeah. So I generally speaking, I use, like, even with my beauty images, I use quite a lot of ambient lighting. I love the mixture of ambient and flash. And I love lights. I'm like a total lighting nerd. So it's just like, from the beginning, I've used pro photos. From when I couldn't afford them, I rented them. The minute I could afford them, I started to collect them. And then I've got a few different modifiers, etc. We're quite lucky in Cape Town. We've got amazing rentals. So I'm always like renting different modifiers and that, but I've got quite a strong collection of modifiers. But basically, you can send me anywhere with my one pro photo and my one beauty dish, and I can shoot anything. Literally.
Like, so cool.
You don't understand. Like, literally, it's like so ridiculous. But yeah, so and then there was this amazing image which I shot. I had when I was still in Joburg, I had, like, I can't really call it a studio because it was just basically one big room with a white wall. And I would collaborate with some creatives. This is Rowdy and my friend Danet. And Danet was always phoning me, and she was like, we're shooting this. And then I'd be like, okay, cool. Let's try. And this image was just incredible. It's somehow or another just sort of, I don't know, captured some kind of zeitgeist, and it sort of went around the internet. And I was all over Business Insider, which was like amazing. I think, geez, I don't even know. I think it was about 6 or 7 different countries in terms of like one of the top up and coming photographers to watch. So that was just incredible. It was just like this amazing kind of image that we shot again, uploaded it to Beyonce, because Beyonce is everything in life. Beyonce is life. And from Beyonce, it kind of started to track internationally. In between this, though, I have to say that, with that said, there was a specific publication called a Photographer that actually did a feature on my work, which was sort of part of this whole Midsummer Night's Dream kind of sort of set initially before that image. And without his publication, I don't believe any of my work would have gone anywhere. I think that for whatever reason, having his kind of stamp of approval and having that community stamp of approval of my work definitely got it out into places it would never have been. It, like, 100%. Like, so anything that happened after that, the Photographer and Beyonce was my first step for sure. Then again, this was a Cape to Cuba project. And the reason why this was so key and so important to my life and my evolution as a photographer is it caught the attention of this incredible trend forecaster, creative director, one of the most talented people I've ever been lucky enough to work with, Paul Isergang. And he was running AFI at the time. And he'd seen this set of images, which we'd shot on my Instagram. And I think I got this DM on a Sunday or something. And he sort of said to me, hey, are you busy on Wednesday? And I was like, I don't know. No, I don't think so. I'm sure I can do it. I'm free. And he's like, well, I can be free, I suppose. He's like, well, would you like to go to Kenya? So I'm like, I'd love to go to Kenya. That sounds like wonderful. That sounds like a great idea. He's like, well, we have no budget. You can't have an assistant. So I was like, no, it's fine. Don't worry. I don't need an assistant. I need nothing. It's fine. Don't worry about me. Whatever. Let's just do it. Anyway, so that's how I met Paul, was through this image. And I think that is such an important thing, because you don't always understand the importance of whatever it is that you're shooting or you're capturing in terms of when you're doing it at the time as to who it might, appeal to. And I think that's really, really important, because I remember this was like a really cold, miserable day. And it was just a million different issues and a million different problems. But anyway, we pushed through, and we had these beautiful dresses, this beautiful BG dress, and Karen again, she's just, she's incredible, and Sam, and here we were busy shooting this incredible editorial. And that's what ended up getting me into Kenya with Paul Lysigan down the canyons of this is called Hell's Canyon or Devil's Canyon or oh gosh, Hell's Canyon, Hell's whatever, something Hell's. It's got Hell's, definitely Hell's.
It's a hell of a place.
Oh my god. But yeah, so anyway, when I got there, I was totally not unprepared because, of course, I had my little Converse on and my fun little outfit, and you had to go and hike down. So that was really entertaining. And I had my pro photo bag and my beauty dish, obviously, but not the collapsible one because it's me. Obviously, I've got the big one, and my my trusty 850, and I was like, oh my gosh. And obviously, because I'm a prime shooter, all my prime lenses. Needless to say, going down Devil's Canyon or Hell's Canyon was quite ominous. But anyway, we got down to the bottom, and working with this incredible jewelry, Adele. She's just incredible, Adele Jack. And then we shot this amazing editorial. And what was incredible about it is I didn't have an assistant, and I made friends. So that's what was really important. I made friends with this incredible guy Jerome. He owns one of the top modeling agencies in Africa, and all of his girls work for like Alexander McQueen and Gucci and Chanel. And he was amazing. He kind of like hung out with me the whole day, and he was like pointing my light here and pointing my light there. And
cool.
It was kind of crazy. And this image was so important to me because it was picked up by Pantone, which, I mean, as I suppose you know, is such an important Bible in terms of just everything that we have. In fact, they picked up 3 of my images for their 2021 booklet, which was just unbelievable. It was like the most surreal moment. But this image inspired a color, which is quite funny because it just shows how ironic the universe is, because my Pantone color that I inspired from this image is Afro Black. So I thought that was very funny.
Very funny.
I was like, that is hilarious. I like that is so yeah. So we in the official Pantone, yeah. So that was amazing. So that was and I mean, this has just been every single project that I've done with Paul has been like a bizarre zeitgeist that has just gone everywhere. It's had covers in New York, it's had covers in London. It's been just literally everywhere. This whole campaign was just incredible. And then in the afternoon we shot at Navisha Dam. And it was a very long day. I think we woke up I think we landed I don't even know, like 10, 11 at night. We got into the hotel. We were out at 3, 4 in the morning because we had quite a Hell's Gate. That's the word I'm looking for. We had to get to Hell's Gate. And it was about the 3-4 hour drive. And then the makeup artist didn't make it. She didn't wake up. And it was just like one of those like crazy shoot days, you know. But yeah, anyway, so we did the canyon, and then we went to the dam, and the whole theory behind this was obviously the fire and water and life and birth and rebirth, etc. So yeah, so that's Paul, as you can see over there, doing his thing, and that Jerome is holding my light. As I say, literally one of the most important people in fashion. I kid you not. So yeah. I think that it's really important to just be nice. I always say to people, like, always be kind. I think for me, that's something that's kind of missing is on some of the advertising sets. It's like always advertising people saying we can be nice to one another. And I'm like I'm very strict with that. Like I will not have I won't have any drama on my sets. Like everyone works together nicely. There's respect. I'm not interested in any histrionics. It's just not something that I'll put up with. But we don't have to. We're super good friends. So it's amazing. So yeah, so that was that. This was another project for Paul as well, which just went so viral. It was it's to this day I don't even it's just being published everywhere in the world. Like so ridiculous. It's just I don't think there's been a country that it hasn't been published in. So this was the project was Afro Asia, And he came to us the week before, and he's like, okay, I've got this. I want to do something. I want to do a mix of cultures of Afro and Asian, and we need to come together. We need to put everything together. So Karen and I sort of went and we looked for some, obviously, this was in Johannesburg. We looked for a whole lot of locations. This was in Cyrildene. In fact, that shop, Karen had bought all of the elements that you see in her hair, etc.
Yeah.
Karen had actually made all of those things, all of the belts and everything and all of that. That's all her stuff that she makes. And then we present it to clients, and then we go and we shoot. We shot 3 huge editorials in one day, starting, I think, again at 3:00 in the morning, finishing at 11. So there were 3 stories that we shot. What often happens with my work is, because I feel storytelling is so important, sometimes I might kind of reverse engineer something if I need it, if it's not always like clear at the time. So, but afterwards you could see I had like 3 clear stories. So then I sat down with it and I'm like, okay, I've got these 3 clear stories. And what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to separate it into market day, big city nights. And then I just knew I wanted to do something with neon. Like, that was very important to me. I was very worried about that, because in my head, like whenever I've been to Hong Kong or anything like that, it's always been very kind of like the neon and the lights and that. It's such a strong thing. Karen had got all these neon lights. We weren't really sure what we were going to do with them. But I had made friends again with, this was Emma Chen's restaurant, Prawn. I don't know if it's still there. I hope it is. I really do. And she'd never let her place out for shoots. But I said to her, it's fine. We'll literally be in and out in like, give me an hour max, 2 hours if you want to be really kind to me. We'll go when it's quiet, etc., etc., etc. And we went in there and, bought crew food, had a really nice time, and then ended up with, with these amazing set of images. And as I say, like, covers, articles have been written about them. This had a whole essay written about it in a German magazine called Page, which for me was, again, something that was, very heartfelt, because, well, my dad was German, and also it's such an important publication in terms of from a creativity perspective. So it was just such an amazing achievement, and it was something which I was very heartfelt about. And through that, I ended up working on a project this year, which hasn't been released yet, for one of the biggest German museums. And I'm the 9 different creatives around the world, and I'm representing photography. So it was like,
awesome.
Wow.
That's very cool.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so we have shot it. We shot the whole thing. So we're just waiting for it to be released. And it's a humanitarian project, and it was just incredible. So again, these things are, you never know when something hits and when it doesn't. This year, it's a BTS, so I think it is a bit out of order. And the only reason why I put it here is because this is one of my favorite sets of images. It hasn't really done anything, and it hasn't gone anywhere, and it hasn't been and it's like most, and I love it so much. It's a shoot that it's one night in Naples, and I use 35mm film, and it's just like, I love this. I just love it, and I don't know. No one else loves it as much as me. So yeah, this I don't know. It's so crazy. So this is part of my new set of images, or some part of my latest set of images, which are currently just being released. Again, this was there was a film involved in it, and it was a whole big story about finding the keys to Wonderland, and every sort of journey were these 4 girls that were kind of like sort of Indiana Jones type characters, and they went on an adventure to various different areas. It was like a sort of, and then they would like get these keys, and it was a key to luxury and the key to maintenance. It was all for an aviation client of mine. So it was like this whole big kind of like story kind of weaved into itself. And I love this. Like, I think if there's like an image that can represent like who I am as a person, I feel like this is it. Like, this is me. I'm just like, I'm this person, the kind of Indiana Jane girl who's always out on an adventure looking for something. And yeah, so I to include this because it's one of my favorite images. This was from the same story. This was, yeah. So anyway, we took a horse and we put it inside a cafe.
This is starting to sound like a bull in a china shop kind of story.
Yeah, no, my goodness, but shame. Yeah. Anyway, that's Apache. He's lovely. We love him, but yeah, they're surprisingly hard. They're surprisingly hard to shoot horses. Even though I ride horses myself, like I've got a very good friend who's one of the top horse photographers, I think, in the world, and I always say to her, like, in my head, I'm like an equestrian photographer, but in real life, no, I'm not. I do what I do here. So this is as I was saying to you earlier on, where I'm starting to use people to kind of create a scene and a narrative, and caricatures to kind of like fill my spaces, so to give it a feeling. And I think that maybe that comes from my love of film, because obviously my love of film has always been very strong. So it's been quite a nice progression to go into that, because obviously being a storyteller, it's been so amazing to have like that next step, which is obviously the moving picture. But with that said, like, you know, I think I love this. I love this whole scene. I love this whole feel. I think it's just got a vibe to it. So that's basically kind of my new work that's happening here. And that's Tuma. She's amazing. She was one of the, I think, top 10 finalists for Miss South Africa 2 years ago. She is just incredible. And just that whole picture of what it is, everything in that image, the guy at the back with the coffee, smoking, you know, I love that. That's kind of very much where I would say my work feels like it's going a little bit is to be quite caricature driven. And it was so funny because the other day I was looking at some international work on some of the agencies, and you always see, like, I'm so used to now seeing, you know, a picture with quite a lot of people in, and then you kind of go back and you sort of see what everyone else is shooting, and you see them shooting one person or whatever, and it's like, here's 500 people in one small room and a horse and 15 parrots. It's like,
and an explosion in the corner.
Yes. Oh, don't forget the explosion. Explosion is very important. So this was the image from Naples, which, as I say, like, I love the shoot so much. It's like one of my heart shoots, and it just goes to show that you never know what work is going to go and what work isn't going to go. Anyway, this is just a little bit of the behind the scenes of this kind of madness, because it was total madness, but it was super, super, super fun. And you know, the energy on set was, of course, you know, we were dancing and like it was all kind of a little bit crazy. Okay, so this was really, really fun. I think this was a really fun kind of crazy way in terms of you know, just showing how we will do a scene, or how we build a scene. So I worked with art department with this amazing stylist called Jean. She's this very famous interior kind of stylist, but she and I we just think alike. And it was our first project together. And when I walked into this sort of empty space, and I said to her, okay, I want lots of flowers, like lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of flowers. And she was like, and I was like, but I don't think you understand. Like, I don't think you quite understand what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this crazy. Anyway, so she did this incredible set. And then basically what I was doing is sort of minimizing the scene depending on, you know, the various models and talent I had in there. And then, of course, we had all these incredible parrots. This is Kingsley. She's just amazing. And she's a model from Miami, but she was in the country. I don't know if she's here, if she's back in Miami, but she was just amazing. And for some weird reason, she had this incredible energy with the animals. She had a cheetah sitting right next to her, and these parrots that just jumped on her shoulder, and it was such an interesting sort of space just to see, you know, how different talent interacts with the various things. And I mean, I love that image. It's such a cool
this is one of my favorites.
It's like the boss. You know what I mean? It's just like such a crazy kind of, you know, sort of it's sort of thing. It's like, and I think I spend a lot of time thinking about sort of fairy tales and books that I used to love as a child, and books that I love as an adult. I mean, I'm an avid reader and stuff, and I love, obviously, poetry and Shakespeare. I mean, I love Shakespeare and whatever, but I've spent a lot of time thinking about books that inspired me when I was a kid, like, Magic Faraway Tree and all of those sort of things. It's really, to this day, like, I often sort of think about as an adult, because there's something about that childlike wonder when you believe. And for me, that's what I want my work to be. I want my work to be something that you can totally and utterly believe. And it's like, that's what I want. I want to believe that there's a land at the top of the tree that you can take what you want, or the land of flowers, or, that there's just forever happiness. I don't ever want, I'm not ever going to be that person who's going to be the sad girl by the by the river. My lake images or whatever are these strong, powerful women, kind of with that. So again, it just shows the progression of how I would change the set. And then eventually, as I say, Apache came in here, Zoe came in here. Zoe's amazing. She's one of the top models, and she is super, super, super street and super edgy and like so strong. She's like such a strong character. And I was like, she hates pink. And then I was like, so yeah, we're doing your hair pink and we're dressing you up like a princess. And now she's like, yeah, this is so fun. So this was another one of my my kind of like moments where I think a lot of people went in and thought I was a bit mad. So basically, obviously everybody knows Inyoni, and it's a great film location, but obviously the issue with Inyoni is obviously to try and make, get everything to look different, because there's a lot that's been shot there, and they've got this diner there. And when I went there, in my head, like the whole thing was like there was a jukebox and a this and a that. Anyway, so we came onto the location scout. John didn't know me. I had sort of client there. Everyone was kind of like around. Of course, Ryan was the amazing stylist who was working on this. So Ryan and I were just like, we knew exactly what was going on. And we sort of walked into this very empty room. And you can see, like, it was kind of like there was just like there was really honestly nothing there. It was like, I think they honestly thought I was crazy. They were like, this woman is insane. And I'm like, no, it's incredible. It's like after you guys have just been skiing and you're in the chateau, and it's like that little dive that you find at the end of the day where you go and drink and you have like a party until 4:00 in the morning, and it's kind of tacky and it's kind of dodgy. But it's like the funnest night of your life. You know those kind of places that you stumble upon.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, and it's just everybody's cool, and it's like every now and again when I've been traveling or whatever, and every now and again you have this like magical night that is that comes at you from nowhere, that you can't possibly in a million years ever, that you can't plan. So that's the kind of place that I was kind of building in my head, but obviously they weren't seeing it. They literally, I promise you, I've never in my life, even my client who's got a lot of faith in me, you could see like looking at me, thinking to myself like, this is not what I thought, no, we need to go and find something, rich and fancy and whatever. And I was like, no, we need to find, it needs to be super kind of 3:00 in the morning vibes, very kind of tacky, like very kind of like mad, like that whole kind of like very glitchy disco kind of sort of very sort of, strange, just a little bit strange. So anyway, we built this.
It's a fantastic description of what it needs to be.
Yeah, so as I say, like, and then as I said to Jean, I'm like, I need mirror balls, and she's like, how many? I'm like, hundreds of them. So anyway, and then so we ended up doing this, and then again, like my whole point of life is all about caricatures and how we sort of, and mood. Like for me, it's mood and tone is so important, and I think that's really very key to the work that we do. And then obviously because the set was so big, one of the things that was sort of a challenge was time, in terms of trying to get everyone, because I wanted everybody to look like, key talent. And I think that that's the other problem that I've seen on a lot of sets with like a lot of people is like, you basically, the makeup and that might not be as strong, etc. And I was having none of it. I was like, every single person who's on here is going to end up to be a key person. And in fact, Cassie, the beautiful blonde girl, the girl that looks like Bridget Bardot, she actually ended up being like pretty much one of the main caricatures in the scene in the film, because it just worked out that way, that she was just kind of sort of leading the story in. You see her in this kind of mad place, sort of leading the whole story in, telling everything about it. And I think that's, yeah. And as I say, like, I love this because it's mad.
It definitely is.
It's completely mad. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky, and I'm very grateful to obviously the opportunities that I have, because I have opportunities to do these amazing things. It's not that easy to obviously be in a position like I am to go and do a shoot like that. But it didn't start like that. It started out on my friend's farm in Kloof with, one designer, one model, and one boat, and in fact, it didn't. It was one step back. It started out in the Orient with one model, one stylist, and me with some crazy big idea and crazy big dream. And I think that's really important. And I think that, like, I do get that a lot. People always say, like, oh, like if I had your budgets or whatever. And it's like, work that I've done and work that me and my team have done, very often there's zero budget. It's just us going out to go and shoot for the day. Or, when I had a studio, I mean, we used to, I don't unfortunately have one at the moment in Cape Town. I hope at some point to get a space I can shoot in. But it's, I'm sort of kind of trying to sort of alternate my house, etc. for it. So I'm working on it, but these things take a little bit of time. And I mean, I had a New York cover based on that, where it was just myself and Danet, and we went to the garden to forage, and we were like, okay, so we're going to do this beauty shoot, and that turned into Bloom. And Bloom was a front page New York cover magazine of just myself, a model, some flowers, and 4 or 5 hours. And I think that's really important, because otherwise you give up before you even start. But there is always a progression to all of these things. You don't wake up in the morning and say, okay, well, I'm going to end up doing whatever, like shoots like we've just done for Keys. And I still, within that, we did the most amazing shoot the other day, myself and Karen and Andrew, makeup artist, where we got this incredible model. And in fact, I literally shot it on my balcony, and sort of put some, I don't know, some lofty curtains and whatever, or just some and it's beautiful. It's like everything's pearls, and it's just like, oh, it's so beautiful, and it's just amazing. And I think that, like, that's really important, because it's not only about, like, okay, well, if I had a big budget, or if I had a lot of money, or if I had this, or if I had that, like, I promise you, if you would actually have a heart attack if you knew half of these, nearly all of these jobs, even the AFI jobs, in terms of like the budgets that we had. I mean, I was so clever with every single thing that we've done. We've been so clever with. It's been like location. We go and speak to people. We agree to have lunch there, or I agree to do like an image swap with them, because we don't have location fees. I find that a big challenge in Cape Town, because Joburg is much easier. Joburg, you can go anywhere and you can have a good conversation. Your Cape Town people are a little bit more educated in the lines of film.
Absolutely.
And Netflix and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's more difficult, but it's not impossible. It's not an impossible thing. And I'm not scared to spend money as well. Like, if I want to do something, I will save up some money and some cash, and I put it to marketing, and I'll say, okay, fine, I've got X amount of money, which I'm putting back into my business. I'm going to get a bunch of people together, and we're going to go and use a really nice location, which I'm going to pay for. I think I paid for Cape to Cuba. It was like $2,000 or something. I can't even remember. And I think I gave the boat guy, like 800 rand or something. I don't know, like, it was like, I can't remember what the deal was. There was a deal though. It was done. It was done, and there was a deal. So I think that's really important, because otherwise you limit yourself. You limit yourself, through your own capabilities of what can and can't be done. And especially in Cape Town, I mean, on the negative obviously is that people are a little bit more educated here, but on the positive, it's like, this is the most incredible place in the entire world to shoot. Like, it's so ridiculous. Like, it's so ridiculous. I mean, we shot some tests, some creative work in Sea Point. I mean, there's literally like, there's mountains here, there's elfin forest, there's beaches, there's amazing places. And there are places that are willing to let you come in and shoot, depending on how nice you are, and depending on, how you're willing to also negotiate, because it's not always just about you, if you're willing to say to them, like, guys, I'm super happy to, help you out, and I know you need X, Y, Z, so let's do that. So yeah, I think when it comes down to it, it's one of those things which you just got to keep on just working at it. And I think that a very wise person once said to me, like, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And it was when I was quite young, and I've lived with that, because I think that's really important, because you have to keep on working, and you have to keep on trying, and you have to keep on, pushing and pushing and pushing. And also, like, upskilling where you need to upskill, like, and getting people in that I'm not very, I'm terrible at organization skills. Like, my brain is like, it's like a kaleidoscope of crazy. I need someone like Philippa in my life to be able to do this, because how on earth she did what she did. I think from the time of that shoot was 10 days. From the time we got client to go ahead for the concept to the time we started shooting was 10 days, where we got everything. From my entire house turned into like a big styling kind of thing. It was so ridiculous. And all those models and all the contracts, and just so I think that's really important, if you to kind of see where perhaps you need some support, because, as I say, the kind of work that I do, it's not really about me going out to go and shoot a beautiful lifestyle thing. I wish I could do that. I've got so much respect for photographers that do that. That's not really me. Again, because I don't really like real life, so I like the fantasy side of things. Like, I want it to be crazy. I want it, I've got, Jessica and Corsi on a table, dancing with the chandelier. That's me. But you need everyone. You need the people that take the emotional portraits, and you need the people that take, the incredible Coca-Cola campaigns, and then you need people like me as well that, are the ones that are out there doing whatever it is, the mad things. So I think that there's space for everybody, and I've no doubt about that. It's just about finding your space, I think, and finding your voice. And I think that's really important. Like, I'm very clear on my voice. I'm very clear on it, and I'm very committed to it. And what I have found, though, is definitely there's been a little bit of a shift and a change in some of my film stuff. I think it's kind of definitely going a little bit towards I do like a little bit of a bit of a not always so crazy vibe, but with that said, then we're building sets, and then we've got a horse.
Exactly.
The other day I was like, no, now I'm going to go, I'm merging into my quiet phase and whatever. And then, like, the next thing, as I say, we were in this this indoor arena and building this big set, and it looked like something out of Vogue. And I was like, oh.
I mean, I think that's the thing, you just gotta keep pushing and taking it where it goes. I quite like what you were saying about where it all starts from. It starts off in your garage, your back garden space, etc. And you got to kind of push and eventually get to where you need to go to. But I want to kind of thank you very much for taking us through your images. And showing us, giving us a bit of insight into your kaleidoscope of crazy, I think you called it. I think it's refreshing and it's exciting, and I really hope that people watching this, get a lot out of it and go and experience their own crazy. And for those who are watching this for the first time, thank you very much for taking the time to watch it. Please like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. For those of you who have subscribed and you're watching it as part of the series, fantastic. You guys rock. Really appreciate it. The more people that subscribe, the more the channel grows, and the more we can bring cool stuff to photographers all around the world. So, Ingrid, whose surname I'm not going to try and pronounce. Thank you. I really appreciate your time and your energy. It's certainly made it an exciting afternoon.
The fact that I don't know how to use my computer can be a bit problematic. Okay, cool. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, hey.